Good evening to all of you and welcome to this session. I'm Dr. Priya Nagraj. I'm the CEO of Pune Knowledge Cluster, and I will be moderating this session today. So the conversation series that we do with women role models in STEM is an initiative of Pune Knowledge Cluster, which aims to bring forward the journey of women in various fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We conduct this series once a month. And we conduct it in an informal conversational format to help the audience relate to the lives of successful women professionals in science and technology, to understand firsthand about their success stories, their failures, and how they moved ahead to make a mark in their field. We hope that this initiative inspires young women to break gender stereotypes, societal barriers, and encourage them to pursue careers in STEM. As I said, we conduct this in a conversational format, so please feel free to ask questions. You can type in your questions during the chat box, during the session, which we will be happy to take at the end. And we will also, open it up for questions, where you can unmute yourself and ask questions at the end of the session. We're very happy to host Dr. Asha Kembhavi, who is the head of Technology Center at Chr-Hansen in Pune in India. She will be talking to us about her journey from academics to the corporate world. Dr. Kembhavi is a biotechnologist. She started her career in academics and then moved into the corporate world to apply her scientific knowledge and to biotech industries. She holds an MPhil and a PhD in applied biology from Strangeways Research Laboratories in Cambridge, England. Her interests are in the field of enzymes and microbes. She has vast experience in areas like in vitro fertilization, egg processing industry, animal feed, food, and several other industries. She had been involved in developing new applications in the area of agribiotech, pharma, textiles, food industry, and biofuels to make processes eco-friendly by reducing the use of chemicals, energy, and water. She has several publications and patents and is also a fellow of the Maharashtra Academy of Sciences. She was a founder member of an IVF center where she was responsible for the second test tube baby in India in 1986. She is presently heading the technology center of Chr-Hansen in Pune, and her interests are in probiotics spanning animal, plant, and human health. Welcome, Dr. Kembhavi. We're very happy to host you as part of our series. As you are aware, the way we host this series is that we will request you to make a brief presentation about your journey, following which we will have a moderated Q&A session and open it up to the audience for questions and answers. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Priya. And good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to thank the Pune Knowledge Cluster for inviting me today to share my journey. And also, I'm very happy that BASF, which is a very chemical-oriented company, is looking at how to help women scientists shape their career. And I think today many of these participants are students from who have been selected to pursue their career in chemical and allied sciences. And I think for them it's very important because most of the time when you are done, when you're finishing your school, you're looking at options as to which area or which path should I take. Usually when you go in for medicine or engineering or IT, for example, lately, your career path is pretty much chalked out and you know where you will be 5 years, 10 years and things like that. But when you go into pure sciences, you're still not sure as to what exactly your career path will be because the opportunities and then how well you do and things like that. At least when I was growing up, I knew that, okay, by doing pure sciences, you would only land up in maybe teaching in a college or doing research in research institutes. And here, when I started my career, I felt that, yes, there are a lot more opportunities other than that. And today, I will just take you through that journey as to how I have got those opportunities, how I've taken those opportunities and gone ahead. So from academics to the corporate world, I'll be talking about. I'm an enzymologist, basically, and that is why I put the thing on the enzyme. There is an enzyme model. And you'll see a fluttering ribbon here, which is how my journey was. It's up and down, but then always going up. And that's the theme of my talk today. Yeah. So the way I have structured my talk is basically into 4 quadrants. My early years, which is sort of just primary and high school and college time. And sometime after that, I spent some time abroad. So I'd like to share what did I learn there and how was my journey there. And then when I came back to India after my education, then how was my academic life? And then finally, why did I move into corporate life? I'll also show you that. Well, in the academic life in India, of course, I spent some time at NCL at Pune University. And then in the corporate life, I'll throw some light on my time at Venky's, enzymes, and Chr-Hansen. Can I go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So to start with, my early life schooling was in Mumbai and Hyderabad because I was born in Mumbai. My primary schooling was in Mumbai. And then later on, I moved to Hyderabad. The most important part, what I'd like to stress here is while we were growing up, my father played a great role here because he was a chemical engineer and he's a very science-oriented person. So that's where he started putting some interest in me to pursue my career in science. He would always be talking about science, even in our daily activities. In the kitchen, he would show me how fermentation is carried out, how yogurts are fed, why mustard seeds flutter and things like that. So many things he would just be talking all the time. But when we were growing up, he was also having a lot of health issues. Particularly, he had some brain tumor. And then that's when I thought that, no, instead of just pursuing into science, I think I would like to pursue my career into medicine, where I'd like to become a neurosurgeon. But unfortunately, because he was in the central government and I did not have a domicile, I couldn't make it to the medical field in Andhra Pradesh. And that's when I then decided, let me go into science. And then even in graduation also, I did at Hyderabad. And here again, I started visiting many institutes like National Institute of Nutrition and things like that. And then there I saw that, yes, one could do biochemistry, which was again close to medical field. And that's when I got some inspiration from professors at National Institute of Nutrition. After my graduation, of course, I moved to Mumbai to pursue my career in post-graduation. And there we started going for lectures at TIFR, which is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. And there, Dr. Kembhavi used to give us lectures on enzymes. And that's when I started looking at protein chemistry and enzymology. And this is how my whole journey took me into the thing. Soon after that, of course, soon after my post-graduation, I started my PhD at the same college where I was in Mumbai. And then I met my husband, we got married, and he was to go for his postdoc to Cambridge. And that's when we moved abroad to pursue my future career. Can I have the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Yeah. So here, when we came to Cambridge, he was pursuing his postdoc, and I joined the institute, Strangeways Research Institute, which was also doing a lot of work on protein chemistry, purifying enzymes, characterizing it. Soon my professor there said, why don't you do an MPhil? And at that time, when I came to Cambridge, I thought that it was a short visit to Cambridge, about 2.5 years. This is the time when I could finish my MPhil, because when you go back, then you can pursue your career into teaching job. And at that time, MPhil was required to get any teaching position. And that's when I finished my MPhil there. But I didn't do my PhD, even though I had done a lot of work there. I didn't want to stay back and finish my PhD. I said, no, I'll go back with my husband. But then some other professor invited me to US, and there I got an NIH fellowship. But I took this thing that my husband has a permanent job back home, and we need to get back. So we came back, and later on, again, I went back to Cambridge and finished my PhD. So I did my MPhil and PhD in 2 steps. I also visited lots of other institutes because whenever we used to go abroad for 3 months or 6 months period, I would get a chance to work in different institutes. So we went to Amsterdam. Yeah, I spent some time in Cambridge. I spent some time in South Carolina, US, and that. the most important part of my higher education into these professional courses was I learned discipline. I think that's something which we did not have when in India when we were studying. I said discipline is something which is very, very good. We have to focus is another thing. I mean, we focused a lot on what we were doing. Culture was also there. Of course, we learned that they saw different cultures, whether it is in Germany or US or Cambridge, etc. And also a lot of travel experience. And this is something which has stuck to me, saying that yes, we have to be very professional when we go to work and focus itself. And again, I must insist that yes, I mean, every day was a learning for me. In fact, most of my learning started when I went abroad. And there I was so satisfied that every day I would learn something new and come back home and say that, wow, this is something great. Something. Can I have the next slide, please? Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. Then we came back to India and I wanted to start a family. And when I was expecting my son, I had gone to this gynecologist in India, and she came to know that I just come back from Cambridge, and she was very excited because in Cambridge, the first test tube baby was born way back in 1978, although I met her in 83. She said, how about starting the IVF laboratory? I had no idea at all. I was a complete pure chemistry person doing protein chemistry, enzymology, etc. I said, okay, well, this is a good opportunity. Let me take it up. Let me start reading about it. And then we started from scratch, completely set up the IVF laboratory. He sent me to Germany to actually pick up the technique. And here I met Professor Michelman, who was in the University of Kiel, and then he trained me. But the nice part was, I mean, he was very excited that somebody from India is wanting to start an IVF laboratory. But when I went to Germany, a lot of people were surprised why India needs IVF when so many babies are there available for adoption. And there was also the cost was very high in those days. Success rates were very low because there was hardly 10 to 15% success rate. So most of the newspapers carried the article saying that there's an Indian lady who has actually come to learn IVF. And this is really surprising. So they interviewed me, but then I said that, yes, but there are some people who really want a baby of their own. And if we can help them out, why not have this technology? So it was really successful. So we got the second test tube baby, but then my interest was still going back to enzymes and proteins and this that. So soon after that, I started looking out for another opportunity where I could go back and teach because I had an Excel. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, can I have the next? Yeah, one. Yeah. So then I got an opportunity to become a lecturer in Sophia College, Mumbai in the life science department. And whatever came on our plate, we started learning and teaching. That is what happens when you go to college. You don't need to teach what exactly you are good at, but then whether it is environmental science or microbiology or biochemistry or whatever came on your plate, you start learning and teaching. And that was very interesting too, because you interact with a lot of young people and do projects and this and further in my other career, I mean, towards when I moved out of Mumbai also, I started teaching in several places in Pune. At that time, as just when I was getting a permanent job in Sophia College, my husband decided we have to move to Mumbai. We have to move to Pune. And then we decided, okay, let me go to Pune and start looking at more opportunities if I can become a college lecturer in Pune itself. Can I have the next slide? Next slide, please.
Yeah, ma'am, it is taking just a few seconds. Just a minute.
Yeah. So when I came to Pune, I got an opportunity to become a scientist at National Chemical Laboratory, where I started once again, going back to isolation, purification, and characterization of proteins. And here I met Dr. Aditi Pant, who had just come back from National Institute of Oceanography. She wanted a job in NCL, so she was in NCL. She being an oceanographer and me being a protein chemist, we got along. I mean, we decided, let's look at enzymes from the marine organisms. And here again, it was a very interesting collaboration. She was an out and out oceanographer, trying to learn what I was doing and why was I interested in looking at enzymes. But we got along very well, and we started taking students, and we did set up a laboratory for enzyme purification and characterization. At that time, we also started purifying proteases, pectinases, amylases, and things like that. And then we were very excited saying that these could be taken to the industry. We went and met Hindustan Lever people thinking that, yes, we have got some good molecules and can we sort of look at it? And at that time, I came to know that no, industry is far ahead of us, and we've been doing we need to do a lot more work in order to take these molecules to the industry. And at that time, that is the time when I was thinking, what are we doing? I mean, what does the industry need? We should be thinking about it. Anyway, at that time, there was no permanent job in National Chemical Laboratory. So I decided that I will then move on and look at Pune University back for teaching. But in the meantime, during my stay in National Chemical Laboratory, I started going to Cambridge more often to finish my PhD. And finally, in a couple of years, I actually managed to finish PhD and then move on to the university. But at the university also, it was the same thing. There were no permanent jobs there. I started teaching in Department of Biotechnology, then moved to bioinformatics, taught in health sciences in many places. And then suddenly an opportunity came when I was still pursuing this. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. I happened to go for some dinner invitation to some place, and there I met the MD of Venkateshwara Hatcheries, and we happened to talk in that dinner. At that time, she found out that I am an enzymologist, and she said, we are struggling to purify an enzyme from egg powders. Would you be interested in taking up this job? Well, I thought that I've never done any industry job. Let me try how it's going to be. So they sent me to Hyderabad, and I looked at the place where they were struggling. I mean, they were making 1 million eggs a day. They were producing egg powders, egg white powder, egg yolk powder, whole egg powder, and also purifying lysozyme, which is an enzyme from egg white. I said, well, it's interesting. Let me take up this challenge. And I took up, they made me a general manager straight away. And I started looking after their egg powder industry there. It was a very big, very, very interesting, from having purified enzymes at a bench scale level to suddenly go and see big tankers and things like that, going up the ladder, looking at it, adjusting pHs and things like that. But we managed to get it. I mean, we did very, very well. Within 6 months, we got purified enzyme completely. And that's when they had given this saying that they hired me and they actually managed to get purified enzyme in this thing. So this was a very interesting journey for me, that and also give me a lot of confidence saying that, yes, I think even though you're from academics, you can still apply your science and get what the industry needs. So all I did was, what do they need and how do I get to that? And that's where we did. Meanwhile, we were also doing a lot of egg powders, because egg powders were all exported to various countries for making cakes and mayonnaise and things like that. And all of a sudden, we found that our egg powders, which are being exported from India, have a lot of pesticides, and loads of tankers started getting rejected and they came back. And so again, we started looking at where are these pesticides coming from, how do we look at it. So can I have the next slide? Yeah. And here we set it up. We set up the residue laboratory in both at Venki's and later on at SKM Feeds to see whether pesticides can be reduced. It was obviously coming from eggs, and the eggs were coming from the chicken, and the chicken was eating all these various feed ingredients which contain these pesticides. So we started screening different feed ingredients geographically and seasonal variations we saw. And then we designed a feed which would be low in pesticides. And then we finally managed to open up their market to show that it was. Later on, many years later, there was big crisis also in soft drinks. Coca-Cola went through this crisis, and they had come and interviewed us as to how did we manage. And obviously, it was coming through water, which is groundwater. And again, we had to, if you put in the right resins and things like that, you could reduce the pesticides. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. And during this period, because I was an enzymologist, I was also in touch with Novozymes for animal feed, and they came and offered me this position where they wanted me to introduce enzymes in animal feed. And they had an enzyme called phytase, which actually releases phosphorus from the feed ingredients. And if you don't use the phytase, then a lot of external phosphorus needs to be added to the feed, which would then land up in groundwater, and also it would pollute your waterways. But when I looked at the whole thing as to why it was actually invented or produced, it was because to control pollution. And if you go to the Indian market and tell them that, yes, for controlling pollution, why don't you use this enzyme? Nobody would believe, and nobody would want to use it. So because nobody cared for pollution at that time. So then we started looking at how do we convince the farmers. We said that there is already a lot of phosphorus present in your feed ingredients. How about releasing it so that you get pure phosphorus, and you can reduce adding external phosphorus, which they believed. And then we sort of did a lot of field trials. First of all, you have to be convinced in order to tell your farmers. Then we used to have a lot of farmer meets. And then I used different, we hardly could talk to them in English about all this phosphorus pollution and enzymes and this that. So I actually started teaching them a bit of biochemistry in their own languages. So luckily I knew some various languages being in different places. So we conducted farmer meets in Telugu and Kannada and Marathi and so and so. And people started realizing, yes, I mean, there is something, what she says, the bone development is good, the productivity increased. And so this was a very big success. And same thing we then applied to aquaculture. So this was such a good experience for me, although I was teaching them some basics, but you are touching you're really coming so close to the farmer, and you're doing it. It had a societal impact, what I wanted to tell you. And there was no barrier that I'm the only woman going there and talking to hundreds of farmers who were all men standing there under the tree sometimes, or in some hotel or anything. I never felt that I was someone different. I mean, I was just with them and trying to help them out, saying that if you use enzymes, this is what you're going to get. And this was a very, very big success in Novozymes. And even till today, people talk about how we introduced enzymes in poultry feed. Can I have the next slide? And then after that, in Novozymes, we did several different industries. We started looking at, can we reduce chemicals, energy, water, and things like that, and add enzymes to show them that, yes, there would be better products and things like that. So the way we did was we chose a particular application and then chose a particular enzymes, because you have variety of enzymes. And then here you need to look at in which quadrant does it fit in. High temperature, low pH, high pH, and then you sort of choose the correct enzyme and then do the application. So this is mainly was technology adaptation, because in India, different industries are there. You don't know where you need to apply. So that's what we showed them. And one or two examples I can give you is, one of them was oil. For example, in refined oil, I mean, extract oil from solvent extraction, there's a lot of gums.
Dr. Asha, we're not able to hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we did was, in order to remove the gums, normally a lot of chemicals are used like caustic wash and things like that, and which actually destroy all the goodness of the oil. You lose a lot of vitamins, tocopherols are gone, and then also you get low yield because the gums are very heavy and they trap in a lot of oil. And what we did was, by using phospholipase, we could convert the gums, which are the lecithins, into lysolecithins, which are water soluble. And there you have extra 2%. Because what I'd like to express here is, whatever technology you bring into the industry, people would like to see how much money you can save. And when you show them that, yes, it's going to be cheaper for you and better products, then they are willing to try. This is a very, very big challenge in many of these industries, particularly when you're using very cheap chemicals like acid or alkali, and they don't want to move away from that. Enzymes do cost a little more, but small amounts are needed and the benefits are large. And this is what we convinced people, did lots of trials. So we did it in tea, gelatin, baking, dairy, and many, many, many areas. Yeah, next one. We also did a lot of work with government participation. For example, government, industry, and the research institute come together, and then we develop the technology where the government funds for large-scale trials, and then so 2 examples I'd like to give here is, one in textile. When you actually weave your fabric, and before it goes in for dyeing, you need to clean the fabric because there's a lot of chemicals there. When you're weaving, you want to make the fabric very stiff. But after that, you need to soften the fabric. And here again, people were just using acid and alkali, which was leading to huge amount of pollution in the water. And they had to actually treat the water before leaving it into the rivers. And here we showed them that you don't need to do that. If you know what you've added, like starch and things like that, you can just add an enzyme amylase and clean it up, or pectins are there and you use pectinase and clean it up. And there you get your fabric softer, longer lasting, less pollution. When we did that, there was a jute commissioner from Calcutta who was visiting us for some conference. And he saw what we had done. And he said, immediately, please, can you come to Calcutta and look at the jute industry? And the jute industry is something where the jute is thrown into the water. I mean, the stems are thrown into the water for rotting. They call it retting, but it's basically you rot them. And the person actually goes in after 20, 25 days to actually clean up the fiber. And there's great risk for his health. And completely it is full of fungus. And it's a horrible thing. No one wants to do that. And the quality of the jute also which you get is basically not, you can't use it other than making gunny bags. And what we did was to show them that, yes, by using enzymes or microbes, you can actually clean it much faster and in an industrial scale. And you could use the jute for various better purposes like making good fabrics, saris, or any other things. And here you can see the difference that when we did that, you could get soft, silky jute, which is there. And this again had a big societal impact because there you're improving the life of a jute farmer, which he was extremely grateful that they didn't want to do that. And they would get jobs in the industry where they could use enzymes and microbes. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So that was like 20 years of my career in Novozymes. I just gave you a glimpse of a few examples there. And my latest passion, which is about 5 years ago, when I was still in Novozymes, Chr-Hansen, which is a world's #1 probiotic company, they started their industry by providing starter cultures to yogurts and also cheese manufacturing, and they're very big. And they had never ventured out of Denmark, and they decided they would like to come and put up an R&D center. And at that time, I said, okay, fine, we can put it up, but why don't you try it out for a year? And that is when we were incubated at Venture Center, thanks to Premnath, who gave us the opportunity to use the soft landing program in the Venture Center. We carried out our research for 1 year, where we were very successful. And now we have moved to very close to Venture Center and have a full-fledged lab there. We are into probiotics for human, animal, plant health, as well as a lot into food section. And the work which we do here in Chr-Hansen in Pune is how do we improve processes to make these probiotics, because when you are selling it for so many different applications like human, animal, plant health, and things like that, your price needs to be very low so that people can use it. And in order to reduce the price, you need to improve your processes, because in the same fermenter tank, if you can produce double the amount, then automatically your price comes down to half. And also another thing is, most of these non-sporulating bacteria which we are producing here are very short-lived. And so how do you make them more robust? And that's where material science came into picture. We hired material science people and we started looking at how to make them more robust. Can I have the next slide? Yeah, this is what we do at Pune. Process optimization for higher yields and stabilizing the end product for longer shelf life. So we do a lot of high throughput screening. We have cutting edge instruments here, very, very high-end instruments, and we use that. And we also do a lot of data analysis, do machine learning and AI to actually speed up the process. So we have a group of 20 people who actually work in different areas looking at this, and then we are contributing a lot to what's going on in Denmark. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. So after, I'm still working here, and I'd like to just touch upon what were the factors for this kind of a success which I got. One of the things, as I initially said, was the parental guidance. I think my father played a great role here in encouraging me to take up whatever is there. My mentors were also very, a lot of motivation I got from my mentors. And I'd also like to mention there's a great amount of family support. My husband, my son, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, not father-in-law, father, my mother, all these people were responsible, because when you're traveling to so many places, we're doing farmer meets and things like that, you're hardly at home. And here they were taking care of my family. And I think I really owe them a lot, because they really helped me to achieve what I was doing. I myself was very innovative also, because that also helped me, because every time I went on asking these questions as to how do you make these technologies successful and what does it take to make successful. And that's when I was very happy. And again, language usage, because when you go to grassroots levels, if you don't talk in their language, you don't get the same rapport. And that's something which I learned, that yes, if you sit down with them, talk to them in their language, the response which you get is completely amazing. You feel so satisfied that you're able to convince somebody in this kind of a field, biotech field, which is so abstract for them initially, but they start understanding, even though they may not have had a higher education or something. And then lastly, I would also say, I think I met the right people at the right time. And that's when, you get these opportunities, but you're also meeting people who are helping you out, who are trying to get your projects through, get them to have the success and things like that. I think that's what was one of the criteria. Can I have the next slide? And then, of course, as I said, lots of opportunities came, and the idea is to take them. You might suddenly feel, how am I going to ever go into industry, work with shop floor, work on shop floor, work with the workers, or go into the farmer fields and talk to the farmers, travel a lot. or even, for example, IVF, I've never even seen what was happening. Still took it out and did it. And the most important thing is today, when I look at myself, I mean, back into several 30, 40 years, I think I did a lot of meaningful work because it was always sustainability was a big buzzword in my head. Yes, I had to do that using microbes, enzymes, doing green chemistry. I think it made a very big difference to me. And I'm really thankful that I also got a lot of opportunities to travel. And that was my passion right from the beginning, that I should have the opportunity to travel. And I went to different countries, different places in India. Almost every farmer, poultry farmer in India, I got a chance to meet them and talk to them. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. And of course, success is like an iceberg. You have lots of ups and downs, and that's when I showed you right in the beginning, the fluttering ribbon. It's not straight away going up, it's going up and down. There is a lot of hard work. There's also good habits. I would say discipline is something. And one thing I would like to tell you is work and life, I have always considered equal. I think if you have priorities, very high priorities for work as well as your home life, then you can manage. If you, and work-life balance is something which is very important, because if you're happy at home, then automatically you also achieve at work. And with that, I think I'd like to stop. I think the last slide. Can you just show the last slide? And this is my team at Chr-Hansen today, and I'm still working with them. And thank you very much for listening. Yeah.
Thank you, Asha. I think it was a very interesting talk and also very exciting to see your journey. I think what struck was you have used your core expertise in enzymology all along to solve a very diverse set of problems, including some which have very significant social impact. I would like to, I mean, first of all, my questions are not going to be technical. My questions in some way represent the audience here, largely students who are looking to maybe do a master's, a PhD, and are debating whether to do this in India, to do this outside, and of course, deciding what kind of career choices that they want to make. You mentioned about, sort of starting off in academia and at some point realizing that the industry was way ahead of what's happening in academia. Could you tell us about a little bit more about that? Like, what did you feel, what did you think was, or what did you mean by saying that they were ahead? In what way or in what sense? Was this global, or was this something that you saw just in India?
I think when I did this was way back 25 years ago. And at that time, we did not have such high amount of, I mean, when we were looking at enzymes, we were purifying it. And then we did not know. We thought that we'll go to the industry, just offer them the enzyme and they would jump at it. But when we went to Unilever, they said no.
We can't hear you, ma'am.
Oh, can you hear me now? Now?
Yes, now better.
So when we went to Unilever, they pulled out a sample of enzymes, which enzymes from Novozymes, and they said, well, take it to your lab, just benchmark it, and then see where you are. And sure enough, we had just sort of touched the tip of the iceberg and not even gone in. And at that time, I said, where are we and what are we doing? Are we just producing something which has nothing, which most of the industry are far ahead of us? And so what is the point in just taking another organism, just purifying enzymes and things like that? And that's when I realized we are far, there's a big gap between what we do in the institutes and what the industry needs. And that is why today I must tell you that industry academia collaborations are still struggling all over the world, because we do very early stage innovation, and the industry needs at least some kind of a proof of concept where they could implement it.
So clearly, I mean, I know that personally, I know there are women here who are aspiring for a career in the industry, however, are very passionate about doing industry relevant research. Do you have any advice for them in terms of, can they start early in understanding industry problems, needs, requirements, maybe even business a little bit, while continuing to pursue research in an academic setting?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that the core thing should be very strong. I mean, whatever they are doing, whether it is chemistry or biology or things like that, do well in what you're doing initially. And then you also, if you really want to enter the industry, do some kind of an applicable work. I mean, first of all, your fundamentals should be good, but also if you do something more in terms of application, then the industry would, when you go for an interview, you can say that, I mean, this is what I was doing for my projects and things like that, then people would be interested. Or something the industry needs to look at that. What is your expertise, where they can use it? So most industries are not ready to train that much. I mean, so you need to have that mindset that, yes, I'm going to do it. And then also understand the deliverables. You cannot be doing just what your passion is in the industry. The industry has certain goals, deliverables, and you need to see how can I.
So you also spoke about sort of getting many opportunities. I'm sure there are opportunities you've got which you've not taken. You spoke about the ones that you did take. Could you talk a little bit about how you evaluated or assessed these opportunities and decided which ones you want to pursue and which ones you didn't?
I did get a lot of other opportunities, I must say. But then again, when you are married, when you have a family, you need to also see what kind of opportunities would suit you. For example, one of the opportunities I had was when I went to the US. My professor had applied for an NIH grant, which was 5 years. And he said, why don't you pursue your PhD here, finish it, go back and things like that. At that time, I said, no, I don't think I would like to stay alone in the US. I'm a married person. I'd like to go back and see what I can do in India. That was one thing. Secondly, when I came back to India in Mumbai, Unilever was there, and I thought I should apply for a position there. But again, from TIFR, it was very far, going 2 hours, coming back. So many times I have actually given up some opportunities, but again, looked at other opportunities which came by and I took it. Or, for example, when I started in Novozymes, they wanted me to start an R&D in Bangalore, and they were very keen in 2004. But then I said, no, I don't think I can work in Bangalore alone when my family will be back in Pune. They also offered me that, yes, you can come every weekend, we'll pay for your flights. But no, I think once, if you're not happy doing what you're doing, I mean, away from your family, I will not be able to deliver. That's what I told them, that I feel that it's a great opportunity, but I will not be able to take it. So there are many times when I had the opportunity, but I didn't take it. But having said that, whatever I did, I think I'm happy at home as well as at work.
Yep. I think, as you mentioned about work-life balance and sort of defining your priorities is very essential. Tell us a little bit about the experience of starting something new, whether it was, Chr-Hansen in India for the first time, or the IVF Center, which you started, I mean, pretty much from scratch, even in terms of a skill set. This requires a little more than just scientific knowledge. I think there is a bit of management, coordination, finance, a whole bunch of things which maybe you don't learn in conventional research or education. So how is that experience of starting something new, and what did you acquire these skills organically by doing them or through experience, or did you actually invest in learning some of these skills along the way?
I think it just came. I mean, the passion was there that, yes, I want to do something. And as you go along, you start getting those skills and you learn them. I don't think I went for any courses or anything like that to learn. It just came, I think. Same with Chr-Hansen, when I never even worked with microbes at that time. I told them I'm not a microbiologist. Please remember that I will be taking this. They said, we don't care about that. We just need you to be there and to the management. And then, so it has been a big learning. I mean, I never knew how to grow microbes in a big fermenter. What do you do about process optimization? So it's again, that is my thing. I mean, whatever I took, I think I had got the opportunity to learn. And that excited me more than anything. If you already know something and then it becomes very mundane, the job becomes. Here, every day I'm learning something with all these youngsters who are there in my lab. Every day they teach me something. Yes, I mean, and then you learn. That's how it is.
So speaking of youngsters, I'm sure you are, over a period of time, you've hired a lot of them, you work with a lot of them. The reason I ask is some point, a lot of the young women here will be in positions where they will be interviewing for jobs, whether it's industry or whether it's academia. What has been your experience working with, young women, especially? And what do you look for when you make hiring decisions?
I think what I really look for is, first of all, I've been giving opportunities for people who have missed their boat. So in fact, I have 3 ladies today in my group doing IP. And for some reason, because of the family and things like that, they didn't get into the straightforward career path. And I think I encouraged them, and I'm very proud of it. And they're doing so well. So I always encourage people who have been struggling to get a job just because of their family or they have to move places. Why don't I give them the opportunity? And they certainly have done very well. Secondly, I've also chosen very good scientists who have very good background from IITs and ICERs and things like that. So my core scientific team is very, very strong. The learning curve is very steep, and we are able to deliver in much, much shorter period. And that's how the Danish people have really admired. They have really appreciated what we have done. And I think India has big talent, and we need to really give them the opportunity to work in such places.
And before we take questions from the audience, my last question to you is, you mentioned about meeting the right people at the right time. How much of this was luck and how much of this was serendipity?
I would say you have to also take the opportunity, right? It might seem lucky, but also to make use of the people whom you're meeting at the right time, asking them the right questions, and they're helping you out.
So more serendipity than luck.
Yeah, serendipity, luck. Yes, I would say.
All right. So Prabjot, I know you have a question. You can unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and then please ask your question.
Highlight any major differences or similarities you observed between the educational systems in the countries where you taught abroad and in India?
Well, when I was there in India, there were only very few top institutes where I had not taught. But when I went abroad, I saw that, yes, there was a great opportunity to learn. But today's situation is different. We have lots of these ICERs and these things are coming up. And I think there is a lot of, I would say, very similar kind of opportunities people are having here for learning. But again, going abroad is, I would say, if someone gets a chance to go abroad, they should go abroad, because that gives you a different perspective totally. Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yes, Prabjot.
Based on your diverse experiences, what are the key differences you have noticed between the fields of academia, industrial research, and then healthcare?
I think in industry, one thing is there's a lot of interesting work can be done, provided you understand the goals which the industry has, because you really have to deliver there. Only then you get more and more opportunities. I think that should always be kept in mind. Whereas in an academic thing, you are doing very interesting research. It can be very exciting, but suddenly you find something else is on the side track, and you can still pursue that. Whereas in industry, I don't think people would really like you to go around doing many different things rather than delivering what they are looking for. I think this is the major difference between working in an industry and working in an academic environment.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for a truly inspiring and motivating session.
Thanks, Prabhjot. Can I request Dr. Prem Kumar to unmute himself?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm Prem from Loyola College, Chennai, working as assistant professor
Mhm,
from the Department of Biotechnology.
mhm.
I have a question, ma'am, regarding that enzymes you have mentioned in cleaning fabrics.
Mhm.
Can any enzyme be used or any particular type of enzymes, ma'am?
We used amylase and the pectinases because there you have a lot of pectin in the fabric, already in the cotton thing, and where you need to degrade it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so pectin is found to be better.
Yes, pectinase.
Pectin. Okay.
Also,
Thank
there
you,
are lots
ma'am.
of other challenges we faced at that time, because you need to actually look at the microenvironment in which the enzyme is working. I didn't go into details, but there are lots of combination of enzymes and surfactants you need to use in order to clean the fabric completely, in order to make it more softer so that the dye can penetrate.
Okay, ma'am. Very interesting talk, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Prem Kumar.
you.
Gayatri Mohanty, can you unmute yourself, please, and ask your question?
Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Chr-Hansen Mohanty, and I'm currently doing my bachelor's from Vivekanand College of Arts, Science and Commerce.
Mhm.
So my question is similar to Prabhjot. I wanted to ask, which was more challenging and exciting for you, the academics or the industry?
I think I enjoyed more in the industry, honestly to speak, because when I went into academics, yes, I was publishing papers and having students and all these things, but industry gave me a lot more challenges. It was difficult. It was at times frustrating when you don't get results, but at the end, when you are successful, you're really happy. So for me personally, I think I have really enjoyed myself in the industry.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I request Ashwini Lele to unmute herself and ask a question?
Yeah, hello, I'm Ashwini from BKC. I mean, you've gone through so many changes and you've embraced change all the time. You have moved yourself out of the groove and have adopted yourself so many times. I'm pretty sure there must be a lot of frustration, a lot of insecurity, instability, and how you kept yourself motivated going through all these changes and
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you do feel frustrated at times, but I think when you get success after success after success, then it's like, you get addicted to success. And then you feel that these things, small little frustrations, you can ignore. I think that's what it was. I think once you get success, then you feel, okay, the next one also I can make it successful. And it is not straightforward, I can tell you that. I mean, there are frustrations, but you have to keep them aside and keep motivating yourself and then going. Particularly when societal impact projects, it is difficult, but at the end, I mean, it is so satisfying. I mean, I any day want to do more and more societal impact projects.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I request Dr. Vinod to ask his question?
I'm audible.
Yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. My question was or is similar with the Ashwini ma'am. I got on as I mentioned in my question. After getting education from the world-renowned university or the topmost universities of the globe, and you didn't find or any permanent job in India, so how do you feel? And as you told that you went with the sir because he got a permanent job in Pune or like as you said that, and you find out the different part or you go with the sir. But being or if any man have this kind of a problem and a lot of family is depend on him. So what should be the way to motivate himself? As you know, what is the present scenario of this kind of a means. I think personally, this is only personal for me. If you got an the respected position at NCL also, or the Agarkar Institute, or like CNN, or NCCS, so there will be a different kind of a output for the society, for the India. Because while you are talk, I find out that you went to Pune, then Mumbai, then Bangalore, from academia to industry. So I feel that personally, this is not for the all. If you got a sustainable position at one place, so there will be lot of opportunities also for the new students also, and for the society also. So my question is something jumbling, because I can't also understand that you didn't get that kind of opportunity which you deserve.
I think if I look back, I would tell you that yes, I mean, I was also not very, I gave some time saying that fine, I mean, I might get a permanent job in the university to teach, but nothing was coming up at that time. I mean, everything was reserved. So how long do you wait? I mean, if you get something else, you jump into it. And I think I don't regret that, because I think I was very open-minded, willing to do anything which comes on my plate. I mean, I have done sales, I've done customer solutions problems, I've been giving technical support to salespeople, I have run R&D, I have done all these other, projects with the government. It's had a lot of travel. It's like, I don't think I regret it. Maybe if I had got a permanent position in the university, I would have stayed. I don't know what my trajectory would be at that time. Maybe I would have got, already when I was in the university, I was very heavily interacting with students, doing very interesting projects. And maybe I would have got done some industry, academia collaboration at that time, but things didn't work out that way, but things worked out this way better for me. I think that's what I can share with you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your very positive and very fruitful and
And
healthy smile also.
I feel that people who are not getting what they want, the sky is the limit. I mean, there's so much opportunities. I think you have to keep your eyes and ears open and take whatever it is, do well, and then you look for something else. But don't jump from one place to other before you actually get success. I think success is something which also motivates you to do other things. I mean, that's what it is. If I had just tried my hand in several places and not really got success, it would have been very frustrating. But here, everything I did, I was very successful. And success to the extent that the industry was extremely happy. And so I think that is sort of an addiction. And then you feel, and then that confidence you start getting, you feel that, okay, you can do anything and yet be successful. My professor in Cambridge, I remember when I went to Novozymes to do sales kind of a job, because I was promoting their enzymes into animal feed, going and talking to farmers. And he says, what are you doing? I mean, you're more of a academic person looking at the active sites of enzymes and designing in the substrates and inhibitors and doing hardcore research. But I said that, no, this is also exciting. I mean, so much fun teaching biochemistry to a remote village in Andhra and talking to them in Telugu. I think I enjoyed it. Honestly, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your very smile, big smile. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vinod.
Thank you.
Nikita?
Good evening, ma'am.
There she is. All right. Hi, Nikita.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Ma'am, currently I'm pursuing my master's in biotechnology. And my question question is, can you suggest me some industry to work with as a fresher in industrial job, specifically in nanoscience or pharmaceutical, because I'm very much interested in these areas.
Mhm. I think you should look at a lot of these pharma industries around. Do you stay in Pune or somewhere?
Ma'am, I'm from Mumbai, but I can relocate anywhere, like Pune or Bangalore.
Because they also have internship programs. And I think whilst you're pursuing your master's, you should also do some internships around in whatever area you're interested in. And that
Okay,
will
ma'am.
also give you an idea as to whether you really like these jobs or do you want to shift into some other field. For example, today I'm having 2 students from IIT Guwahati come here for 2 months internship, and they are trying to see what kind of fields they would like to pursue, whether it is data science or whether it is fermentation or something else. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So I think while we wait, in case anybody has questions, I have one because this is something that I personally endorse, is the value and experience of travel. This is something that you spoke about, and I think we've not had a lot of speakers talk about this as being a valuable experience. I want you to tell us a little bit about how that has enriched your life and what have you learned from that as an experience?
I think travel really helped. I mean, first of all, I have been very, very keen on getting a traveling job, right? Even in my master's program, bachelor's, wherever there was a conference or anything, I'll be the first one to apply, saying that let me go and see that place. So I've been very, very interested in going and seeing places. And because of this job, that gave me an opportunity. People were all the time asking me, why do you travel so much? But without traveling, you can't get your job done. And traveling has been very interesting. I mean, of course, in those days, we used to travel by air and it was more comfortable at this time. But still, I think it was very good. Traveling, so much of travel also disturbs your family, I can tell you. But at the same time, people were very supportive. Many times on the way to the airport, I'll be buying vegetables and sending them home. Or when I come back from work, when I come back, I will be buying groceries. So it was very hectic. I mean, managing both home as well as travel. But traveling also gives you an opportunity to eat different cuisines. I think I enjoyed the food all over. In fact, when we went to Calcutta doing the jute project, I was there in a remote place in near Takeshwar and eating with all the farmers their Bengali food cooked in mustard oil and that. I never thought that I would ever like it, but I'm very, very open to getting adapted to any kind of environment. I think that's also there. And that has really helped me. So traveling has been very interesting, I must say. Tomorrow I'm going to Denmark again, and I'm really looking forward to the food there.
So food is a big driver, I believe.
Yeah, I think food is a big driver, and also people. I mean, so many different people. And from grassroots levels to all the MDs and things like that of big companies. So I've been a variety of people one could meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
All right. I think that's for today. I think we've had our questions. I think before we wind up, I first of all would formally like to thank you, Asha, for doing this today with us. Whenever we do this, we leave very inspired, we leave very motivated. And I think it's also very encouraging for a lot of young women to work the courage to start and try new opportunities instead of sort of being in silos and working on something that, they don't have the confidence to build on and sort of explore opportunities. And I completely agree that today opportunities are not limited. I think there is a lot of room to try very new things, and there's a lot more acceptance to try new things and acquire skills, which are something that maybe you have not acquired during conventional learning. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for inviting me to share my experience, because I always see that a lot of young people are they decide their thing right in the beginning. And if things don't go that way, they are very upset and they don't want to go down. They have their own egos. Particularly the higher you have, I mean, the more you study, you don't want to do some other jobs.
Yeah.
For example, when you go to sales from an academic thing, people really thought I was crazy. I mean, why do I need to go and do sales jobs? But doing sales, teaching with your scientific knowledge, I think that was another thing. That was so exciting.
Yeah. So I request all of you to fill out the feedback form. The feedback is very important to how we learn and improve in how we conduct our events. Please take a few minutes to do that. The link is shared on the chat box. I would also request all of you, if possible, to switch on your cameras for a quick photograph, a group photograph, so that we remember this event fondly. And I request my colleague Sheetal or Gayatri to capture all of us in the time that we're switching on our cameras.
Dr. Priya, can I come in for a minute?
Yes, Dr. Ali.
Yeah, it was splendid, madam, to hear your story. And it will be a pleasure on my part to see you in person whenever you are back from Denmark. I have always been hearing about you from Aditi Pant, who has been a great friend of mine since my university, Pune University days. So it will be a pleasure to see you. And I know what are the problems associated with women in science. Very difficult time. It's a double role that they have to play, multitasking. And you have played it so well. So whenever you are back again, I would love to come and meet you. You are at Venture Center, no?
No, I'm at Site Unity where I used to be previously.
Where at the Pashan Circle?
At Pashan Circle. Please come.
Okay, I will visit you whenever you are back again.
Yes, I'm back in a week's time, so you can come time after that.
So much. So kind of you.
Thank you.
So, Asha, on the lines of that, we generally ask the speaker if anybody from the audience wants to get in touch with you for any questions. Is there a contact information that you can share that they will be able to reach?
Yeah, I can share my email as well as my contact number.
Sure.
And
All
I
right.
expect young people to come and visit us because they can see what kind of research we are doing. And we really encourage people to come and visit us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please switch on your cameras for a quick picture. Can we have more cameras switched on, please? Gayatri, let us know when you're done.
Yeah, we are done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Asha. Thank you
So much.
Yes. So thank you, Dr. Asha. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you
Yeah,
to
thanks.
all of you for taking the time to be here and ask your questions and join us for this conversation. Have a very nice day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.